Good evening and welcome to another dog walk. It is an ice skating rink out today, so I'll try to be extra careful. Oh, and I'm sorry, I've got an issue with the dog leashes. Pardon the shoddy camera work. Actually, maybe I'll just try to edit that out although I did say I would not edit stuff. Anyway, so after that crazy start, welcome to another edition of the dog walk. As I was saying, it's an ice skating rink out here, so you have to be very careful. Yeah, and that also means that it probably won't be a very long walk, because that means that Daisy won't last that long. So with that said, today I wanted to talk about another big hot button topic issue. But before I get to that, and I came to think about it after finishing the recording yesterday and realizing, hey, I think I forgot to mention one of the other big advantages of gardening is that, and that's more of a, let's say, an altruistic advantage, and it is that really you're reducing your carbon footprint or your environmental impact, however you want to phrase that. Basically, you're reducing how much pollution you're creating. I don't know why we can't use that word anymore, but anyway, yeah, because the food that you grow in your backyard does not need to be shipped, which means that it doesn't require fossil fuels, labor, transfer, all that stuff. If you grow it yourself, usually, and you don't use pesticides, that's even better, because that's another pollutant that you're not introducing into the system. And what was the other thing? Yeah, the other thing that really is a little bit not as intuitive, but that I found, is that since I started to garden, I've started to find more use for stuff. And I know that's very vague. Let me elaborate a little bit. I tend to give a second life to a lot more things right now than I used to. So, for example, food waste, right? How big? Oh, sorry, this is like literal ice sheet. Like, it's not completely frozen. Well, yeah, you can see it's completely frozen. Just the surface, though. Anyway, yeah, I think we're gonna go this way today. So what was I saying? Yes. So since food waste, yeah. Since I started gardening, I've always been the type of person who, my mom grew up poor and instilled in me a certain set of values, which include, the whole finishing everything, every last bite off your plate, and don't let food go to waste. If there's a rotten part on your whatever it is, orange, you cut around it and eat the rest of the orange, right? That part's still good. So that's how I grew up, to the point where I might, in the past, and I will stress might, because I'm not sure, but I might have given myself some wild food poisoning, eating stuff I shouldn't have. But anyway, that's beside the point. I've always tried not to waste food. But I know that food waste is a huge problem, especially in North America. I don't remember the exact statistics off the top of my head. If I was a big YouTuber and I had an editor, this is where a little info box would pop up or something to tell you. But anyway, I know that it's a lot of food that goes to waste in the U.S. every year. Well, I say in the U.S. I'll say in developed countries. But since I started gardening, pretty much all the organics that I generate, I put in my compost. So they're not actual food waste. I don't actually feel bad about it because I'm using this extra stuff which I haven't consumed, and that previously would have gotten rid of, and I'm now using it as a fertility for the food that I'm gonna grow next year. So I'm finding a second use for that. I know there used to be, I don't know if it's still a thing, but a big movement called upcycling. Not sure if I'd qualify what I'm doing with that, but I have gone out and collected, used like crate bottoms, that shipping pallets, I should say, bottoms, from some of my neighbors, and I built my all of my compost boxes out of that and some old chicken wire fence that was also about to be thrown out. And now I have 2 huge free compost bins that I built for basically just the cost of the screws that I used to build them, to tie everything together, and the labor, which again is good exercise for me, as I was saying yesterday, since I can't really do much intense activity. So anyway, those are just a few examples. I'm not even talking about all the other things that I have repurposed, both inside the house or other ways that I have improved my gardening for free. For example, picking up leaves, dead leaves in autumn, to fill my compost and use as mulch for the following year. I even picked up all the used pumpkins from all my neighbors after Halloween and use that as filler for my new permaculture garden. So I find that gardening has given me another look upon things, and I find that I've been giving a second life to items a lot more. And that's another thing that I wish a lot of people, or that I wish more people would do. We live in such a use and throw away culture nowadays. I think we're missing out on a lot because of that. Oh, girl, sorry. Damn it. Miss Daisy, wait. Okay. Sorry. I got them all tangled up here, and I only have one hand to so anyway, I guess we'll just keep going like that. So yeah, everyone treats, or everyone, hyperbole obviously, but so many people treat everything as if it was disposable and that there was no consequence to that. And I think that's unfortunate, not just for the planet, but also just like everything, it builds a certain type of mentality, and that permeates the rest of the way you see the world, right? It's a lot easier to not care about animals or others, if you don't care about being wasteful. I know that's a big leap. It makes sense in my head. I know how to get there logically. Hopefully you can figure out the intermediate steps yourself also. But if everything is disposable, people are disposable. Anyway, I feel again that I am going down a rabbit hole, because this was an aside that was not. I haven't even gotten to what was supposed to be the intro part. But talking a little bit more about my background, like I said I would do at the start of each one of these things. And I've completely veered off course, so I guess we'll have to embrace the chaos and the fact that the format of the show is still very fluid, I guess. So anyway, it's just a different way of looking at things. And if you try to see the potential in something that others no longer find any use for, and that potential usually lies in something that's, or often will lie in something that's unrelated to the original primary purpose of the thing, right? I repurposed what's the word I'm looking for again? Shipping pallet into a compost bin, right? But there's beauty in that, and with a bit of elbow grease, you can achieve some pretty awesome things. I'm always on the lookout for things like this. Now I see that there's iron I don't know how you call those in English, banisters, whatever. You saw what it was. That's a material that could be useful, maybe to build a trellis in the garden, or maybe a little play structure or something like that. I'll have to think about it. I'm not immediately just gonna take it and bring it back home and have junk fill on my entire house and backyard, but I know it's there. I'm gonna think about it, and if I can think of a good use for it, I'm gonna come snap this up before the garbage men do tomorrow. So anyway, as I was saying, I think there's something beautiful in being able to try to find another purpose that isn't necessarily obvious, and the principles that apply to that type of thought, in my mind, are again the same type of principles that could be applied in a larger context or larger sense to benefit progress, right? Like how many scientific discoveries or engineering advancements have come from the fusion of two things that were previously thought to be, different or separate. I'm kind of stealing the punchline of another topic that I had just realized that I had in the queue there. You take electricity, you take magnetism, you combine them, you get electromagnetism, and it all makes sense. And the sum of what you can do when you apply the theory of electromagnetism, in my mind, is larger than the two parts individually, right? By finding out the interactions between those two forces, you're able to achieve effects that go well beyond what was previously thought of as possible in the realm of electricity or of magnetism. But anyway, and that's just one example. I think most people can think of several examples where, combining two types of music or two artists collaborating together yielded, that crazy amazing song, right? Or that's much better than what either of them could have done by themselves. Or um, it's again, goes back to my whole ideas of less generals, more generalists. Not that we don't need the generals, but we need the generalists too, because they can see links where the generals are too deep. By if you've got 100 hours to invest in figuring out something, there's kind of there's two ways you can go about it, right? And obviously anywhere in between, but let's say you visualize a knowledge as a big pool, right? Filled with, oh my, this is slippery. I almost fell on my, okay, so imagine knowledge is a big pool, okay? Well, you can see, with those 100 hours, you'll never be able to explore the entirety of the pool, right? Of the ocean or whatever, the body of water, right? There's two ways you can go about it. You can say, hey, got 100 hours, I'm gonna go 1 foot deep, and I'm gonna explore 100 feet, right? So that way you're gonna gain a very broad knowledge. It's not very deep, but you're gonna understand how things connect, right? You're gonna get a much bigger picture of how the entire coral reef or whatever it is functions, right? Or of what kind of fish species live there, because you've surveyed 100 square feet, right? Or you can go the other approach, which is what most people do, which is, okay, I'll pick this 1 square foot here, and I'm gonna drill down 100 feet deep, and I'm gonna know every single thing about that 1 square foot. But man, if you happen to pick the wrong square foot, oof, that kind of sucks, buddy, right? Or you might find, you might strike oil in that 1 square foot, and it might be the best thing you ever did, right? So I think that you need both. The people who get that other perspective of trying to find a different use, another use, a different way of looking at things, who explore 1 foot deep but 100 feet wide. Just like you need those people who delve down that 100 feet in that 1 square foot and potentially strike oil or strike dirt. Anyway, I'm really getting off topic. I don't think I'm going to get to what was the actual intended topic of this one, but I guess this will serve as kind of a good intro for whenever I do the next recording, and where I really want to discuss actually the basis of what I want to say is going to be based on risk management, which is something I did surprisingly a lot of as an aerospace engineer in the military, in the Air Force. You wouldn't think that risk management, it's not the first thing that comes to most people's mind when they think about an aerospace engineer, right? But in fact, it was part of almost every single aspect, or sorry, not every single aspect, but of almost every single posting that I ever went to. And trust me, that is not true about all the skill sets that I had to use as an aerospace engineer. Actually, maybe I should talk a little bit more about all the jobs that I've done for the military, because one thing that's very interesting is that the military, especially for its officers, does not want a single point of failure. I'll say it that way. At least the Canadian military, right? Because we are so much smaller than a place like the U.S. or an organization like the U.S. military. We can't afford to like there actually can be single points of failure. I'll say in our organization. So the way they get around that is by posting us to different jobs within the area of responsibility of our trade every few years, so that there's not just that one guy who was the aircraft engineering officer for the Hercules fleet for the last 30 years, and all your corporate knowledge lies in his mind, and he knows everything. He can solve any engineering problem on the Herc fleet because he's seen it all. He's seen it all over 30 years, right? But then he gets hit by a bus and you're screwed. Darn. Right? So the forces would rather have 10 people who have each worked there for 3 years and have 3 years of experience. So I would say they are all each much less efficient and much less knowledgeable in that area of expertise than the guy who did it for 30 years. But they're knowledgeable enough that they understand how the job works and how to get it done. And you also have to remember that during that time, after those 3 years,